Welcome to the Death Tally, where we add up all the casualties in our beloved horror films. I'm Dallas M. Pomfrey, and today we're looking at Paranormal Activity 2. Released in 2010, Paranormal Activity 2 is the follow-up to the very successful original, the second one releasing 3 years later from the original, even though in my first video I said the original released in 2009. It first premiered at Screamfest Horror Film Festival in 2007, and wasn't released worldwide until 2009. And this time around, Oren Peli is not directing. And since Paranormal Activity, he has only directed one film, even turning down the offer to direct The Conjuring. But thankfully he did stay on to produce all the Paranormal Activity sequels. And for the first sequel, the director is Todd Williams, who has only directed 4 films throughout his career, one of them being a horror movie based on a book by Stephen King. And I think it's about killer phones?
Don't use your cell phone.
I don't know. Anyway, originally the director for Paranormal 2 was supposed to be Kevin Greutert, who is the director of Saw 6. You know, the healthcare one. But he couldn't direct Paranormal 2 since he was forced to direct Saw 3D. You know, the bad one. This time around the budget is bigger, but still small. On a budget of $3 million, the sequel still managed to break records. Like at the time, it had the biggest opening weekend for any horror movie. The cast is also bigger this time. Doubling the cast from the first one, this one has 10 cast members in total. Will a bigger cast and a bigger budget lead to a bigger body count? Almost definitely. But let's get to the deaths. The movie begins with some more reading. And just like the first movie, they try to make you think that this is real. But unlike the first movie, the characters do not have the same name as they do in real life. And instead of San Diego, this movie takes place in Carlsbad. And I'm sitting here wondering, who is Carl? And what did he do that was so bad? And another similarity to the first movie, the first thing we see is our characters pull up in the driveway. And they arrive with their newborn baby named Hunter. And the soon-to-be sleep-deprived parents are Daniel and Christy. And Christy is the younger sister of Katie. And we all know what happened to her. And I'm sure everything will turn out just fine for Christy. And now it's time to meet our new cast of characters. So we're introduced to Martine the nanny, and the best addition to the cast, a German shepherd named Abby. And as Daniel is giving Hunter a tour of the house, he gives him a quick lesson about the birds and the bees.
It's a fireplace. This is how Mommy seduced Daddy. Oh. And that's how we got you.
And then we're introduced to Daniel's daughter Allie, who's the one filming earlier. And now that we're done meeting the new characters, it's time to meet a familiar face. That's right, she's back. Or now is it he's back, since there's now 2 people living in there. I'm not too sure since he doesn't have his pronouns on his Instagram account. And then we meet another new character, Allie's boyfriend, Brad. But he's not too important. But a character that is super important is the pool cleaner! And if you thought that wasn't enough pool cleaner, well just you wait, dear viewer, because there will be more. Oh yes, there will be more. And Allie wonders where Mika is, so she asks Katie, and Katie's all like, he fell. And sometime later, the family returns home to find that their house was broken into, and whoever it was trashed the entire house, and the only thing stolen was the R from Hunter's name. Bastards. And to prevent the rest of the letters from getting stolen, they call in these 2 dudes to set up security cameras around the house. And on night 1, we're reintroduced to the best addition of the cast. Aw man, it's the pool cleaner! And even though he's a man of few words, he still gives the best dang performance out of the entire series. And he's so legendary that he even has his own Facebook page. Then later, the first spooky thing of the movie happens. After Christy takes Hunty out of his high chair, it falls over by itself. And what's even spookier is that you can actually see Christy step over the wire that was used to pull down the high chair. And you can also see her do it a second time when she leaves the kitchen. I can see why they cut this scene, and you're only seeing it here, since for this video, I am working with the extended cut of the movie. And then there's a callback to a scene from the first one, where Katie was screaming, and Mika went to go find out what it was, but it was just a spider. But this time, instead of a spider, it's a huge piece of shit. When Daniel and Christy have the house to themselves, they consider smashing. And then Daniel's all like,
Let me release the Kraken.
And Christy also encourages him to
release the Kraken.
But unfortunately, we don't get to see if he actually did release the Kraken. What am I even watching this for? Hold on guys, I just need to, okay. Yep. Alright, anyway, the next day when they're eating some bacon, wait, what? What? Is that Mika? Indeed it is. This is when we learn that this is actually a prequel to the first movie. But hopefully that doesn't mean we have to put up with Mika's shenanigans. And later when Christy and Hunter are home alone, Christy hears a noise upstairs. And when she goes to check it out, obviously she doesn't find anything, but when she leaves the room, the demon starts playing with that spinny thing above the crib. And since the demon doesn't want to get caught playing with baby toys, he quickly leaves when she re-enters the room. And something really interesting that I never really noticed before is that you can tell whenever the demon is nearby whenever you hear this sound. Which is kinda tough to hear, unless you have some really good speakers or a pair of headphones. And then on night 3, nothing really happens. Some more pool cleaning, Hunter talking to an evil force from hell, you know, the usual. And then in the morning, they're going through a photo book, and Christy notices an interesting photo of Katie, which I'm sure won't be important at all later. And then on night 4, after we check in with the pool cleaner, we see something that I've literally never noticed until this very moment. If you look closely, the closet doors in Hunter's room begin to warp out of place, which is pretty spooky, especially since this is the first time I noticed that. And then in the morning, Allie and Martine film a TikTok together, but I don't think that they have what it takes to become a TikTok star. Although you don't really need any talent to become one. And then on night 5, the pool cleaner still be cleaning. Also, Martine is home alone with Hunter, or I guess she's not technically alone, since she starts using her Jedi powers and senses that there's something in the house with them. And then she's all like, I sense something, a presence I've not felt since... Oh my gosh, loud noise. Then she runs upstairs to go check on Hunter. And of course there's nothing there, but the dog is barking at something. So she grabs Hunter and runs downstairs, and then starts burning some sage to get rid of the bad demons in the house. But unfortunately, Daniel and Christy show up and stop Martine before she can finish, which leads to her getting fired the next day. Or maybe Daniel found her TikTok account. And then later, after Daniel shows off the night vision feature on his camera, Christy hears Hunter crying, so she goes to go check on him. And while she's trying to get him back to sleep, she hears some noises coming from the window, but there ain't nothing there. But then after she puts Hunter back in the crib, she hears something again, but this time there's a jump scare at the window. And what caused that jump scare, you might ask? Well, it was just a bird. And Allie tells Daniel not to pick it up with his hands, to avoid diseases. So instead he gets the bright idea to pick it up with something that he uses to cook food with. Big brain move right there. And then on night 10, the best character in the entire movie gives an overwhelming performance. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Meanwhile, the demon is messing with Christy by dropping a pan downstairs. And after she puts it back up, he does it again. And at this point, it just seems like the demon's more of a minor inconvenience than he is an evil force from hell. And then skipping right to the 11th night, the demon is trying to cook something, but it seems like he's not very good at it, since it catches on fire, which sets off the fire alarm, waking Daniel up. And then Daniel runs into the kitchen, the demon passes the pan, Daniel catches it, he's running outside the door, he throws it in the pool, and it's good! And the crowd goes wild. And then in the morning, Christy and Daniel are discussing how the pool cleaner keeps ending up outside of the pool every morning. So Christy suggests that they go review the footage from the other night. And what they see is that the pool cleaner actually climbs out on its own. But if they kept watching, they probably would have seen him invite his friends over. And then later Daniel has something to show Allie and Christy. But then the pool cleaner jumps out and is all like, "Boo! Ah, got him!" And when Christy gets upset, the pool cleaner reassures her that it was just a prank, bro. And later that night, Christy and Daniel go out to dinner, leaving Allie alone with Hunter. But then she invites Brad over. And as I'm recording this, today is actually the birthday of Seth Ginsburg, who plays Brad. And apparently for his birthday, he wanted to play a Ouija board. I mean, I'm more of a laser tag kind of guy, but that's just me. And when they ask the demon what it wants, it starts to spell out Hunter. And after Brad leaves, Allie gets another visitor. While she's asleep on the couch, you can see a shadow emerge from the basement and slowly creep up on her. And while she's probably having some nice dreams about not being terrorized by a demon, the demon then wakes her up when it's like, "Wake up, you're late for school!" And as she's about to go upstairs, she notices that the front door is open. After closing it again, she hears a loud bang at the door as she is going back upstairs. As she steps outside to see if anyone's there, the door slams behind her, and I'm sure it was just the wind, if the wind could lock doors of course. So Allie tries to get in through the patio door, but no luck. And as Allie is locked outside, the demon grabs a hold of Hunter and lifts him out of his crib. And now that he's free, his first instinct is to go check the kitchen for some munchies. And when he doesn't find any, he decides to check the basement instead. And I don't know what the heck happened down there, but then it cuts to 6 minutes later, as Hunter's crawling back up the stairs. And when Christy and Daniel get back, Allie is able to get back inside. And obviously Daniel isn't too happy that she left her little brother alone upstairs. And Allie said that it wasn't an accident, and that something closed the door on her. But Daniel doesn't want to hear any more of this haunted house baloney, and he chalks it up to being the wind that blew the door closed. The next day, Allie's doing some research with Brad, and they learn that you can make a deal with a demon in exchange for your firstborn male. And then the next day Katie's over, and her and Christy are talking about what happened to them when they're little. And just like in the first movie, what they're saying about their past does not match up with what happens in the third movie. And Katie also gives some pretty bad advice when she tells Christy to just ignore what's going on. And it doesn't take very long for us to see how well that advice is going to work. But it's pretty hard to ignore something like that, but I mean it's just the wind anyway, so doesn't matter. But jokes aside, that reaction was actually genuine, because they didn't tell Christy's actress how big that was going to be. So then Christy takes Katie's advice and pretends like that didn't just happen, and she cleans up the kitchen. And she also decides not to tell anyone what just happened. And then Allie does some more research and learns that Hunter is the firstborn male to be born on Christy's side since like the 1930s. So she thinks that Christy's great-grandmother made a deal with a demon in order to get wealth or power. And then on night 19, can you guess what we see? It's the pool cleaner. Welcome to the pool cleaner count, where we tally up all the times we see the pool cleaner in our beloved Paranormal Activity films. And something that also happens on night 19, the demon does the one thing that it's never allowed to do. It harms the dog. Like, you can kill all the meatbags you want, just leave the dog alone. So the noise wakes everyone up, and Daniel and Allie find that Abby is hurt, so they take her to the vet, leaving Christy home alone with Hunter, which is exactly what the demon wants. So after some time has passed, this happens. Christy gets dragged down the stairs by the demon. As she holds on for dear life, the demon actually lets her go. And as she runs back up the stairs, and she's almost to Hunter's room, when the demon is like, "Psych! You thought you could get away that easily? Oh, I don't think so. Silly human, you shall be punished. To the basement with ye." And then a time lapse shows that she's been down there for nearly an hour. And we know exactly what happened to her, because in the morning we see that she has a bite mark on her leg, just like what happened to Katie before she got all zooly. And now Christy is guarding Hunter, not letting anyone near him. So Allie watches the footage from last night to see what happened to Christy. And then after Daniel gets back, she shows him the footage too. And now since he can't blame it on the wind this time, he starts to call someone for help. And Allie asks him, "Who you gonna call?" But instead of calling Ghostbusters, he calls Martine instead. And she tells him that the only thing they can do is to transfer the demon to a blood relative. And since Katie's the only option, they debate whether or not they should do it. But they end up going through with it anyway. But the demon isn't going down without a fight. So when Daniel's about to do it, Christy noms on his neck. And then as all the lights go off, there's a blink and you'll miss it Easter egg when they're struggling to activate the night vision. It's a very brief shot where Hunter is crawling around on the street, and that's from a deleted scene where Hunter is missing and they find him outside in the middle of the road. But anyway, back to the movie. As all the lights went out, Christy was able to nab Hunter away from Martine, and as they're searching for Christy, things start to fall. And Allie sees Christy go down to the basement, so they follow after her. And after he does some searching and some tripping, he eventually finds Hunter, and he crawls over to him. But they still have Demon Christy to worry about. And as Christy and Daniel are wrestling, he manages to get the cross on her, which causes the whole house to shake. And when all is said and done, the lights turn back on, and they put Christy to rest. And the final step to the transference is to burn a picture of Katie, which happens to be the picture from earlier and from the first movie. And then 3 weeks later, Katie is visiting Christy, and it seems like Christy has no memory of what happened to her, and that's because Martine said that she wouldn't be able to remember any of it. And Christy also says that there's nothing weird going on anymore, but now there is weird things going on at Katie's house. I wonder what that could be about. And after Katie leaves, the movie pulls a Rogue One on us and leads directly into the beginning of the first movie. And since we already know how the story ends, let's fast forward to the night after Mika's death. The first thing we see is the pool cleaner. And soak it in, ladies and gentlemen, because unfortunately, the pool cleaner does not appear in any of the sequels. But it's a pretty uneventful night, with Daniel chilling on the couch and Christy performing standard motherly duties. Duties. But then as Daniel's sitting on the No! Daniel, my boy! Katie just came out of nowhere and snapped Daniel's neck. And then you know who comes next. Katie goes upstairs and freaking yeets Christy right into the wall. And if you look closely, in the mirror you can see that Katie walks up to Christy and just kind of puts her hand on her. And also somehow Hunter is completely fine after that. So she snatches him up and leaves. The demon now finally having what he wanted. And if you're wondering what happened to Allie, the movie says that she was on a school trip, and that she returned 3 days later to discover the bodies of Christy and Daniel. It also says that the whereabouts of Katie and Hunter remain unknown. But what I really want to know is what happened to Abby. And is she safe? Is she okay? I need to know! But unfortunately the credits roll and we never get to find out. So how many deaths do we get when your great-grandmother gives up your firstborn son to a demon? Let's find out at the tally. Just kidding, I still don't have a green screen. But anyway, I counted 2 deaths in Paranormal Activity 2, with one of them being female and one of them being male. That leaves us with an evenly split pie chart. With the runtime of 101 minutes, that leaves us with a kill on average every 50.5 minutes. I'll give the golden hatchet for best kill to Daniel, because I love how nonchalant she is as she just snaps his neck. So obviously that means the Dull Dagger award goes to Christy. And it's still pretty silly that Hunter is completely fine after that. Also, I wanted to correct myself really quick, because in my last video, I said 86 divided by 1 was 1, when it's actually 86. I guess I multiplied by accident. Stupid past, Dallas. And that's Paranormal Activity 2. And please don't ask me to make the rest of them, because this was so much work. And I know I said that last time, and yet here we are, but this was so much work than last time. And I don't know how James does it, and I know he has an entire crew and stuff, but I'm just one man, and I need to get back to work on other things because I've been making a Paranormal Activity fan film, and I haven't been able to start editing it yet because I wanted to get this out of the way. So now that this is done, I'm going to get back to work on that. And also, there's a documentary on the Paranormal Activity films, and I haven't been able to watch it because it's not available in my region, but if I'm ever able to watch in the future, I'll have more knowledge on how these movies were made, and then I'll probably make more of these videos. So, yeah. Until next time, I'm Dallas M. Pomfrey. This has been The Death Tally.